nastier form of virus. And I think at the moment we have no way of saying whether that would be true or not.
The first step is simply to find out whether Mike Yule remains healthy, or whether he becomes a victim of AIDS, like the people he treats. If the vaccine is safe, the next crucial stage will be to inject HIV into someone who's been vaccinated. Highly dangerous. But Yule is convinced there are people, such terminal cancer patients, who will volunteer.
I believe that there are people out there who have altruism involved in this decision to say, well, perhaps my life is coming to an end, and clearly there are many people who know that this is happening, and perhaps this will be a good thing for me to do.
For the developing world in particular, it's a race against time.
I think the reason why they did that, have some hope. But by coming to the clinic, by being given whatever care there is to keep them alive, probably in the future things will get better. And I want them to keep that hope, because that's the hope I also have. Probably in my time, it will be found. And if I don't need to tell people that they are going to die, and I'll tell them they're going to live, and they believe me.
In 1986, in Britain, the government embarked on a campaign commercials to frighten people.
The virus can be passed during sexual intercourse with an infected person. Anyone can get it, man or woman.
What subsequently occurred was tragic, but not a plague. In the last 14 years, 32,000 people have been found to have HIV. Just over 11,000 died, and another 4,500 are significantly ill. So was it crying wolf?
But of course what happens now is that people say, well, you know, you over-exaggerated it, you scared people. Well, frankly, I'd much prefer to be accused of that and feel that one saved lives by putting in place, or helping to put in place, a good health education campaign. I don't mean that criticism.
I can't think of another country that did that kind of advertising at that stage so early in the disease. So I think we should just applaud the fact it was done and not pick fault with how it was done.
Modern Britain is not shy about sex, but looking back at it, the experts reached a judgment. Because sexuality was overt, they assumed promiscuity was high. Subsequent surveys surprised them.
I think one of the problems that experts faced right at the beginning of the epidemic is that we have no understanding of sexual behaviour in this country, and particularly heterosexual behaviour, and that's why we didn't know what to expect. And it's only in the last 5 or 6 years, with the very large survey of sexual behaviour in the UK, that we have a much clearer understanding of the amount of partner change that occurs among heterosexuals, and actually it's very little.
It turned out that the common atmosphere in clubs like this was tinged with caution, and among heterosexuals the sex message did get through. The bouncers have had special insight.
I've been in this job 14 years now. When I first started the job, we searched people, we wouldn't find condoms. We did, we were very embarrassed about it. But then we searched people, we find not condoms. No one finds it a taboo subject. We make light of it now.
I take potions all the time. And if I met the young lady, I hope she has as well. Every night I go out, you be careful. We're not always take condoms. Yeah, we've got to every night.
Come on, lads, don't be silly. Put a condom on the way!
For most heterosexuals in Britain who don't take drugs, AIDS is not a significant threat. Gays are most at risk. The group with fastest growing incidence is now first-generation East African. Patrick Rancoli was shocked when his 23-year-old student girlfriend suddenly died of pneumonia. He was even more shocked when the doctor said he suspected AIDS and advised Patrick to be tested. The test was positive.
I was really back to the test. At that very moment I didn't know where to go. I just went straight into somewhere I could get a drink, got a bottle of tissues, went home, sat down, and said it with my health.
Patrick, like many Africans in Britain, was too frightened to talk to anyone.
I felt like committing suicide. And several occasions I thought, well, if I could walk into the train station and wait for it to come across, and then I just throw myself and it crushes me to pieces. I got scared of doing that because I thought it was a cowardly way of leaving this world. Take one, MC.
Eventually, Patrick became ill and had to tell people what had happened. He was put on the combined therapy. 3 sets of pills taken at different times throughout the day. Of 6,665 heterosexuals in Britain who were infected with HIV, just over half are women. Tanya Evans was only 19 when she became infected with HIV 6 years ago.
I don't think HIV was something that I really applied to my own life. I was 18, 19, I just wanted to have fun, fell in love. I think that makes a huge difference. I did try and make use of condom. I did try and get that across to him. For about two or three months, I used to say to him, I really think we should start using a condom.
But Tanya was unlucky. Her lover was bisexual. He had HIV. Since then, Tanya hasn't developed AIDS, though she's frequently tired and unwell and gets depressed. Till she convinced, found it hard to keep boyfriends because they couldn't take the strain of living with someone who was HIV positive. She still visits Lighthouse, the centre set up to help people with AIDS. The Lighthouse itself tells the changed story of AIDS. Back in 1993, this courtyard had been full of gay men. Today, 30% of the people who come here are women.
First told me about a week after we'd met, because we decided to spend the Easter together and get to know each other more. She decided to tell me straight away before going any further. You need to know. It sort of knocked me first, really knocked me. Well, it was that people got it and died from it.
He was scared, but he was honest about being scared, and guys who'd been out before would say everything, the right things, and that they'd be there and everything, but somewhere along the line I kind of knew I was going to run away, and it happened. And when I met Vince, I just about given up hope. Basically, I thought I had enough rejection, and I resigned myself to being my own for life.
It was my first time now to tell my family or friends, and I was just totally amazed at how much people knew more than I did about it,
Yeah, if anything, we had people coming up to us saying fair play, both, and good luck to you.
That's both, and yeah, it was really...
How'd you find each other sort of thing? Good riddance.
Vince says he's careful. He's been tested twice since he started his relationship with Tanya, and he's still negative. They feel they have a future together. 10 years ago, Roger McFarlane was fighting the authorities in New York to get better treatment and a helpline for his friends who were dying of AIDS.
I had 100 calls the first night of people in dire straits, very frightened. And it was like that every night after that. It was terrifying and no one would help.
Today he's training for an endurance race across North Africa. The focus of his life has switched to health.
This is the opposite of all sickness and death. So this is like the time I spend away from the hospital, away from sickness, totally focused on health. I don't know how long it'll last, pretty fragile, but I enjoy the hell out of it right now.
His change of life reflects something wider. Most of the people for whom he once campaigned so hard no longer wake up in fear. Nonetheless, he was furious when Andrew Southern wrote an article in the New York Times declaring that combination therapy and that the plague was over.
AIDS is not over, was not over, but the plague was over. A plague being something that cannot be controlled, that is killing people by thousands, that there's nothing you can do to prevent it, that fells everybody indiscriminately. That ended in 1996 in America for people with access to healthcare. That's all I said, and I think it's true. I think we now don't live with plague, we live with disease.
I think Andrew is not a veteran. He's not seen 15 years of drugs come and go and people get excited about him. Andrew has HIV. He desperately needs to believe that. Frankly, not a bad attitude to walk around with and very hopeful and forward-looking. Most people fail these drugs ultimately, and they get sick and they die. And God bless Andrew. May his cocktail, his combination be tolerated well enough and long enough till I can get him another drug to try.
It's constant claptrap. I say, I think he's doing himself because he needs to keep his funds up, and meaning his own life will be changed and see how this emergency. People's lives were created by this emergency. It gave them meaning, purpose, and hope, and now it's ending. They sort of paradoxically almost don't want it to end. They cling to plague because it gave them security and certainty. Everything was black and white. Now it's all grey and difficult.
The darker end of grey is downtown Los Angeles. Here, in the mid-90s, the focus of AIDS shifted to the immigrant. Officially, the AIDS rate is now 3 times higher among the general Hispanic population than among white gay men. It would be higher still, were it not for state law that forbids doctors to treat illegal immigrants. Many stay away from clinics rather than risk deportation. Darker still is the outlook inside the main jail in Los Angeles. This is our breeding ground for AIDS. Over 800 inmates have been found to carry HIV, with 360 diagnosed as suffering from full-blown AIDS. In 1994, it took a court order to ensure that HIV-infected inmates received proper medication. This, after a man with AIDS on remand was found to have been kept 10 days without treatment. In some poor black communities, as many as 70% of the men go to jail at some time in their lives. Many fear that in the prisons, a strain of HIV, resistant to the new treatment, will first develop and spread.
I think in some ways, the next big story is going to be how jails are now the bathhouses of the 90s. There's a lot of unsafe sexual behavior going on in the jails. It's a sort of rotating door for the virus. And then those guys come out, they're not gay, but they have male-male sex in the prisons, or they're involved in drug use. They go out and infect their partners, women. And that's why the biggest increase now is among women, especially black women in this country, who then pass it on to their children.
Today's AIDS demonstrators don't carry the clout of the better-heeled lobbyists of the early days. Free needle exchange, for instance, would help in the inner city. It got the backing from President Clinton. Being soft on drugs wasn't with politics.
In terms of HIV prevention, I see Bill Clinton's policies as nothing more than an extension of George Bush's policies, which were an extension of Ronald Reagan's policies. Namely, as long as it's only affecting junkies, people of color, and poor people, it's not something we have to worry about. I think that Bill Clinton has perpetuated, the whole dynamic of just writing off people's lives as essentially worthless.
In Russia, there's an uncomfortable echo of this. This bus was introduced to the streets of St. Petersburg to encourage drug users to climb on board and exchange their used needles for free clean ones. Experience all over the world, including Britain, had shown that exchange schemes had been highly successful in reducing the spread of AIDS among drug takers. But the current Russian government followed the Clinton line. It banned needle exchange on the grounds that it encouraged drug taking. The bus is still operating, but now it's breaking the law.
Of course, a lot of conservatives feel needle exchange programs may solely promote intravenous drug use, and that's in spite of countless studies which have shown that that's not the case at all. Needle exchange programs prevent spread infection.
There are now 2 million drug users in Russia, but the government also banned a television and poster campaign warning drug users against AIDS. In Moscow, posters were torn off the walls. The World Health Organization representative in Russia put it like this: the scene is set for a disaster, and this country is totally unprepared. On the World AIDS map, Russia's cases at 0.05% of the adult population have yet to register, and as in Russia, its drug users have taken Spain to the top of the list in Western Europe at 0.57%. In Asia, Thailand, which 5 years ago was seeing AIDS rising faster than anywhere else, is now showing signs of improvement, but it's being overtaken by Cambodia, currently showing the fastest increase. India is a time bomb. Because of its enormous population, it has more people with HIV than any other country in the world. In the Caribbean area, the worst-hit countries are Guyana and Haiti, largely because of its African links and gay tourism. Cuba's early isolating of infected people has had an impact. Still, the most devastating effect is to be seen in sub-Saharan Africa, where South Africa and Namibia have shot up to equal worst case countries of East Africa. In short, what has happened to the plague? That it has moved on, from people who can command headlines to people who can't, from people who can demand action to people who wouldn't know where to start. The $2.6 billion spent on prevention measures, only 14% is spent in developing countries. Over 13 million people have died of AIDS since the epidemic began. 16,000 new people are infected every day. While AIDS deaths have fallen dramatically at the West, in Africa, the increase each year remains frightening, dwarfing the predictions even of those who knew dangers from the start.
I frankly didn't predict that you talk about 10% of rural Africans being infected, or 35% of urban women of the childbearing age in many African cities being infected. It really is a throwback to the old plague epidemics, where they would kill 25% of the population.
The people who are at the height of their productivity in terms of a country's economy are being sort of culled almost. I mean, life expectancy in a country like Zimbabwe has reduced by nearly 20 years.
Nothing defines the AIDS story so clearly as the collective decision of a rich world to continue spending 20 times as much on treatment each year as it does on vaccines.
The number of people worldwide who will be infected with this disease by the end of the century is 40 million. But if the government tells us it's going to be another 10 years before we see a vaccine, if there are 40 million in the year 2000, and this thing is growing as an exponential, how many people are there going to be infected in the year 2005? It's not going to be a few more, it's going to double. And so the thing that we need to understand is that if we don't develop a vaccine that can in some way slow down or stop the spread of this disease, we are going to see whole areas of the world literally decimated by this disease.
Marcus Conant been treating AIDS from the very start. For him, it's already been a war with too many victims.
I remember when the grove was chosen as a memorial, and many of my friends and some of my patients' names are inscribed here in the circle. It helps remind you of where we've been and what we've been through. It's not an end. You know, this isn't a period here. It is simply another step in what is going to be a long, long battle, and certainly one that's not going to be won in my life.
Mm-hmm.